What's going on in this video? I'm just going to cover a few things that I've learned about sales, well, like high ticket B2B sales in this space. I've taken about 100 plus calls now, and once I had a huge sales bottleneck for a while, and I finally figured out how to close high ticket deals consistently. And so in this video, I'm just going to cover three things you guys can follow to actually start closing high ticket deals, even if you don't have a huge amount of case studies, huge amount of testimonials, even if you don't have a crazy website, which a lot of prospects bring up. Three things. The first one is you need to do a proper discovery, and so a proper discovery involves just an intro. Don't go crazy with the report. Just ask them where they're calling from today, what time zone they're in, how they're doing, and then just get straight into the discovery. Like, you're not there to make friends with them, you're there to see if you can help and customize your solution and potentially close them. The next thing would be, in discovery, you need to make sure you understand their current situation. So when it comes to their current situation, just get an idea of the business. So get an idea of how many active clients they've got, what their target ICP is, whether there's partners in the business, whether what niche they'd like to be working in, ideal client profile, all this stuff that you'd want to know, like more stuff about their service, like whether they're running AI automations, whether they're in e-com or whatever that is. Then you want to get their bottom line, so their revenue right now, and then you want to get their goal in the next 6 months. You don't want to go crazy like emotional questions or anything, but this is like the current situation because this is going to actually build a foundation to the rest of your discovery and actually customizing the pitch, which I'll get onto in just a second. But once you've delved into current situation, what you want to do is make sure you get a problem. So if they don't have a problem, they're not going to buy. So you can't actually provide a solution if they don't give a problem. So what you want to do is just ask them the biggest problem stopping them from getting from where they are right now to the goal. And so when they bring up something, you want to ask them how long they've been struggling with it for. What have they done to try and fix this before? Have they worked with anyone to try and fix it before? What does it look like? What does their current process for appointment booking look like? That's if you're in lead generation. If you're in another niche that's not lead generation, you'd ask them what their current process is relating to the solution that you provide, but you want to get an idea of where they're struggling, where they could improve. You don't want to input any solutions just yet, but you want to really get an understanding of what they're doing right now and why it's not working and why there's a big problem. Because, for example, a lot of people in lead generation have a problem with referrals. So they'll mention, they just don't have the time to do outreach or build out an outbound system, or the, leads are unpredictable. They don't know where the next lead is coming from. And then I ask, why do you feel that is? Why are you still relying on referrals? Why has it been an issue for you? How long has it been an issue, etc.? So you want to just pull on a problem and just kind of get to the bottom of it. Once you've built a proper problem, as long as you've got one, the next thing you want to do is essentially it's about building consequence and just get their desired situation. So don't go crazy on emotional questions or anything like that, but you genuinely just want to ask them why they want to get to their goal. Just tell them no sales tactics here. Just genuinely on a personal level, why do you want to do this? And that could be personal, it could be family motivated, it could be a whole bunch of things. And once they draw once they draw on more, you can also delve in more. You can if they push away, you also match that. But if they give you something that that you can get more information, because the more you can create separation, the better the pitch is going to land. The last thing you discover is make sure you get consequence. So you need them to admit that they can't do this on their own, or they're looking to make a change, or they don't want to keep running the business in this way. Because if you don't, when it comes to pitching and objection handling, you're never going to close them, because they'll genuinely just say, I need to think about it. Or, I'll just explore options. If they're doing all that in objection handling, it means that you haven't built enough consequence. So those are the stages of discovery. The next, point as a whole is customizing the pitch. So when you do all your discovery, when you actually do the pitch, you want to use all the information that you got from discovery to customize the pitch. Now, this is where you want probably a notes in discovery. You write down a few things like, what's their ideal client profile? What's their current revenue? How many appointments are they booking right now? How many would they like to be booking? You want to note all this stuff down, and their specific goals, who they want to be working with, what service they provide, so you can customize your pitch completely to the prospect. So you don't want to give a slideshow or a pitch deck, because it's very generalized. What you want to do is just have complete conviction. And how it works is you actually, as you're pitching them, you tell them their problem. So it's like a pillared approach. So the first pillar is like, right now you told me you're struggling with XYZ, and that's causing, XYZ, and that's why we're going to, and then you plug in your solution, and then so that they can get desired outcome, whatever that is. And that's for each pillar, you actually do that process. And as you're moving through the pillars, you want to ask them about each process, each pillar itself. So once you finish a pillar, you're like, oh, does that make sense? In terms of, the offer side of the agency, do you think this would help? So when it comes to my pillars, I have, offer, audit, and creation. Then number 2 is the appointment booking systems. And then number 3 is scalability. So I'm going through all of these in a pillared approach. Once I've done that, what you want to do is just get an idea of whether they think the process helps. So sometimes I like asking this on a scale of 1 to 10. And if they give you anything more than like an 8, that's great. You can move on to price. If they give you anything less than 8 or 8 with a bit of uncertainty, you need to stay there and you need to ask them, like, what do you feel like is missing from what we've gone over that could make it a 10? And then you kind of want to rehash some of the pitch to make them see the value in what they thought was missing. So that's kind of what you want to do. When it comes to objection handling, that's like the big one. You don't need to be this crazy charismatic dude. Like when it comes to like sales itself, when I was overcomplicating and trying to like do a Jordan Belfort, like trying to like crazy objection handle and then get them to close, it just doesn't. It can work, but it's not predictable enough. So all you need is a proven objection handling framework where you follow a process. Now, that could be a whole video of its own, but there's a bunch of YouTube videos out there that actually cover a process for objection handling, like what to say, how to say it, how to deal with partner objections, how to deal with smoke screens, how to deal with the fear objection, all these things. I can make a separate video about that. But when it comes to sales as a whole, you need to follow a process. You don't need to you can't just wing it, because you'll never have predictable a closing machine. And right now, with AI for lead generation, all these things coming into the market, sales is going to be still the highest leverage thing, because AI cannot take over one-to-one high ticket sales. And my last kind of bonus note is, when you have authority and conviction in discovery and pitch, people don't question it. I noticed this with prospects, they don't ask for testimonials, they don't ask for a contract, they don't ask for your website, they don't ask. They just, based on all the questions you've asked and how much you've actually cared and delved into their situation, how you can help and customize the pitch to them, they just buy the conviction at that point. And it's not going to be every call. Like a lot of calls, you have people that are way harder to close, but you will get easy closes if you have authority during the discovery. Do not take half answers. And I learned this the hard way. Don't take half answers. Don't take any of the BS. If they're not answering questions, stay there and actually get the answers that you need, so that you can pitch properly, so that you can objection handle properly. And I guess as a whole, that's about it. I've taken 100+ calls now, finally closing deals consistently. So I know this works, and all you need to do is implement it into your own, whether your agency, coaching business, into your high ticket sales process, and you will start closing more deals. Even if you don't have these crazy testimonials that a lot of these businesses do have, but then they still scam people. It's you need to have confidence in your solution, and the fact that you only have a bunch of clients could actually give the client more confidence, because you're not some agency or code that has 1 million clients, so they're not going to give that much attention to you. So, but if you only have a handful of clients, you can give them a whole lot of attention into their business, into solving their problem, which should actually add confidence instead of making them feel like, oh, he hasn't done it for that many people. So just follow this process, follow the advice I've given in this vid. I might make an separate objection handling vid as well. But if you guys enjoyed the vid, just let me know what you guys want to see more of in the comments, and I guess I can make a video about that as well. Anyway, cheers guys.